It's like magic. It happened.
I know. I'm like, let's go. All right. And I tagged you, so you should be there as well. So hello, everyone. And thank you for joining, those of you that are joining. It is, I believe this is our third live, possibly fourth. I've lost track at this point. Is it fourth? Okay. Glad you're keeping track.
Well, only because I just uploaded all of them, so that's why I
okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, so you were saying you would need to take some deep breaths. I feel like these days we need more of that than usual.
Yes, and yes, and yes. I've been online all day today. So, I mean, I've done like back-to-back sessions, and then now I'm online again. And then I'm going to end this and go see 2 more patients. So it's just one of those like really long, super long screen time days. So, so between patients, I take a lot of deep breaths and, and try to like look at a wall or, look at my kitchen or do something rather than staring at a screen again.
Yeah.
So
yeah, even in between, even the few minutes in between, I feel like makes a huge difference to just
it does.
Center yourself, ground yourself, right? Yeah.
See, we can tell we're totally on the 2 different coasts because you look like you're Summer and I still look like I'm winter.
First day, I was actually just thinking, I was like, you know what? It's so nice out. Well, today and tomorrow are supposed to be like lower 80s, mid 80s. I think Sunday is supposed to change again. And I'm a dress person. So if I could wear dresses all year long, I would be stoked. And one of the reasons I moved to San Diego, so yeah, it's my first day wearing a dress in the house. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Well, I think it's like high 50s today here.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, this morning I feel like it's cold in the house. I feel like, you know what I mean? Because it just hasn't warmed up. But it's been raining, which is really nice. So the weather, the air is clearing up. So
my friend Rachel is actually watching, and she said, I totally understand that it is so important to separate and distance yourself from digital things. So yeah. And she's that friend of mine that I said is a health psychologist, which actually, Rachel, since you are on and listening, we were thinking about possibly every week bringing on another, therapist or counselor of any kind, and I haven't had a chance to share that with you yet. So
would you like to come on next week with us?
Yeah, so if you are open during this time next week, we'd love to have you. But yeah.
Did you write back?
It's a delay on Facebook, so I'm sure she'll at some point. But yeah, we're having people join here on Instagram as well. And, just, again, we're here to support more than anything else and just share our own experiences and discoveries, within the last week. Yeah, awesome. She says, I'd be happy to. So wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
I will put you down, Rach.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So one of the things that I have started to think about is, obviously these days will be over and then we're going to have to go back to how things used to be. However, during this time, we've started to create some new habits, whether they're good habits or bad habits. Clearly they're habits, right? And how are we going to incorporate these habits into our daily lives, right? And part of habits being such an important aspect of life is because of the amount of impact, obviously, our habits have on our, daily lives.
Absolutely.
So today, I've been really kind of bothered with that question and bothered in a sense of, discovery, right? I mean, I'm starting to adjust to seeing my patients online now.
Right.
And I don't like it. I mean, I can say that I don't like the level of, how much it is right now. Because I've done virtual visits for, 4 or 5 years now. But it was always like one here, one there, maybe a handful during the week. But my interactions were face to face. So, but I'm starting to adjust to it. I don't particularly care for it, but I'm starting to adjust to it. So then And then there are other things that come, like in the middle of a work day that's at home, I can do other things. Like I can actually make a nice lunch, or I can bake something, or I can hang out with my dog.
Yeah,
You know?
you take them for a little walk or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can take a nap. Sometimes, I have like an hour and a half between patients. I can actually set an alarm and take a nap, which has been really nice. So how am I going to readjust back?
Yeah. Or what if you could create newly, right? Because now with this whole new, what I love about contrast, because, it's so much easier for us to see what we don't like and what we don't want, right? And it's like, what I love about contrast is, okay, what's on the other side of it? Because whenever we see what we don't want, we can easily now see, okay, well then what do we actually want, and how can we create newly something that works? Maybe for you it'd be like, 2 days out of the week I'm gonna work from home and do virtual sessions, and maybe there are patients and clients out there that prefer that too. So it's like you can work it, right? So it's like, okay, well, let's see how we can create newly and work it out in a way where the ones that want to continue this, because maybe they're thinking the same thing. They're like, what, I don't know how traffic is out there. My guess is it's not the best. But
no, it's not. It's terrible.
Yeah, so it's like, well, maybe some of the patients would prefer that too. So, for me, I see it as like an opportunity to create newly and, create new ways of doing things that, make it a win-win situation.
Yeah. It's really incredible how so much new discoveries are coming our way, like things that we just didn't know. I remember when somebody would tell me, hey, or I would go someplace and they had baked something, right? And I would be like, oh my God, this is so great. And they're like, oh, it's so easy. I'm like, oh no, just next time you make an extra batch for me. Like I wouldn't even think about baking. Like I wouldn't even think about, I'm like, no, that takes too much time. I don't have the ingredients. I don't have this, all of the, and now it's like on a nightly basis, I'm baking something.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a new discovery for me. And, and all of those small excuses that I had that would lead to not doing are now part of what I really enjoy now. Yeah. So maybe I'll open a bakery.
I was thinking the same thing. I was telling you, I made those, that loquat cake, and I'm not one to bake. Like maybe I'll make banana bread if I have bananas that are going bad, or muffins here and there. But for the most part, it's time consuming. Whereas now I'm like, that tasted really good. My mom's like, you could sell those, they were like, vegetarian. I had eggs in it. She was like vegan. I was like, no, I had eggs, but it was really healthy. She's like, you could sell them for $4 a slice. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going there, Mom. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, still though, there is opportunity in all kinds of ways, that we can see. I mean, even just, I think I shared this with you, where I'm collaborating with another friend of mine, and we're doing a 10-day virtual Vipassana meditation retreat. And we started.
Have you already started?
Yeah, we started it. I don't know. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, the 21st. When was that? Tuesday. We started that Tuesday. And so today is day 4. And it's just, doing it just an hour in the mornings, hour at nighttime, and have a Facebook group to really just hold us accountable and support others that are joining us. We started it just as us two because we wanted to do the retreat, which I think you've done, right? I remember I remember you posting it a long time ago. It was the first time I had ever heard of Vipassana. It was actually from your post back when you did it. And I was like, ooh, what's that? That sounds interesting. And then when I read it, I was like, hell no, there's no way I could do that. Whereas now I'm inspired to. So it's like, look at how much, because when was it that you did it?
I did it 3.5 years ago. I did the 10-day retreat.
Yeah.
Have you done the 10-day retreat?
That's the retreat I'm talking about. So I remember when I read yours, I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. But and then when you described how it's like silent pretty much the entire time, 10.5 hours a day meditation. And I remember back then I was like, that's crazy. There's no way. Whereas this year, it's one of my targets for this year to hit is to like go to this 10-day meditation. So it's like, look at how much has shifted in 3.5 years. And so since all this stuff has happened, my friend Connie and I were like, well, let's just create a virtual version, you know, and it's not like the whole 10.5 hours. We're just doing the, you know, morning and night. Yeah, it's been a great, you know, discovery for me to just, you know, discover my meditation practice on a different level for sure.
So maybe you can go to the one that I went to. I went to the one in Palm Springs.
That's the one I want to go to.
Oh, it's pretty. I love the grounds. I love the desert. It was when I did Vipassana, I had just returned back from Iran, and my dad, you know, that was when his health had just taken a turn, right? And it was a very interesting time in my life when I did Vipassana. And so I don't actually, for the first, I think 6 or 7 months, I did do the 1 hour a day. I never did 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour at night, right? But I did do the 1 hour a day of just sitting, you know, sitting still, practice. And then now I'm in and out of the practice of it. But because of those 10 days, you know, I trained my mind to be able to do long meditations, right? And it's really amazing. It's really, really amazing. And 10 days of being silent. I remember at one point, you stop looking at people because you can't connect with them, you know, verbally. And so you just kind of like, you're eating in a hall with a bunch of people, and you act like they're a chair that you can't speak to. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm really interested because I was planning on doing it in July. So I had set it in my schedule. Yeah, it's not going to happen right now, but I had set it in my schedule to apply for it at the beginning of April because that's when it was going to open. And then this happened, right? So yeah, I'm definitely, it's still on my, you know, my top bucket list of things to do this year. And I'm going to make sure to do it because I just like, even doing, like you're saying, my first time ever doing an hour in the morning and then an hour at night has been this week. And even so, even though it doesn't go perfectly and there's times where it's not a total hour and, you know, but I'm just not judging it. And I'm just like, it's just it's more than I've ever done. And I'm noticing huge differences in like my body moves. Like, it's cool. I wanted to say bizarre, but it's actually like really cool now that I'm like processing it. And yeah, that's just something I've, you know, taken on, is just more meditating. And that's something that I'm really just actually, you know, because it's a whole being versus doing again, right? And I feel like this is such a great time to take on more meditation for people because has so many health benefits, you know, which I'm sure you know.
It was during Vipassana that I finally learned that the breath is actually how you control, or, you know, you take your body into a state of health. It's the breath. And it, you know, and it finally clicked. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is what they, you know, and they refer to the breath being the most important aspect of being human, right? Or being alive. That's what it is. The breath in taking good. I mean, think about when you're so kind of wrapped up and stressed out, it seems, and then you sit back and you take 5 deep breaths, and how much that like heals your state of being. And then imagine if you have this practice, you know, and you go. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I hear it's such a magical experience, and so many say it's life-changing in so many ways, like transformational, and a lot of inner work because you're just with yourself for 10 days.
And so, I mean, for me, it wasn't like, oh my God, it was magical, right? Mm-hmm. But you experience a lot of things and a lot of differences in you as you start to live life outside of those 10 days, you know? And that's kind of what was very interesting for me to see that and to understand how this practice And I mean, it doesn't have to be Vipassana, it can be any.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Helps you center, and it's all about being centered.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah,
it's
super. Yeah, and I'd love to see if anybody has any comments or anything that they like to ask that are watching, because we do have.
Anybody added meditation to their
Yeah, I'm curious.
practice during this time?
Yeah, because that's one that I hear a lot about. Yeah, I would love to hear from more people. Seeing lots of people liking. That's awesome. And watching. Let us know what you guys are taking on. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about actually. So I don't know about Virginia, but San Diego. Oh yeah, Sarah Shirazi's on. She actually does. She came on the one of the evening ones, and she was on there, and she says she tried, and it's no judgment, Sarah. Literally, you do 5 minutes of silent time, that in itself is huge, and then you build it up. I mean, that's how I started. With 5 minutes, and then slowly, I actually did like a one of my mentors, Tamara, she does like a 20 to 20 meditation series. She's done it a couple times where she starts off with 5 minutes. And so forth. Yeah, that's how she says she's doing it more. Yeah, it's super awesome. But yeah, so you can start out with 5 minutes and then increase it by a minute or whatever. I mean, it literally, I think that's the biggest thing with meditation. People think it needs to go a certain way. And I really just really like to tell people, no, there's so many different ways, and it's what works for you. And that's that. If you start making it wrong, then you're not gonna do it.
Well, and I think sometimes people think meditation has to be closed-eyed, still, and it doesn't. Meditation can be open eye sound meditation, like the sound, right?
Totally.
And the louder you do it, what it does is that, again, it takes those wavelengths of the brain cells into a certain, calm. And so sometimes actually closed eye meditation is actually not good for certain people. Yeah. Because it creates chaos. When they open their eyes and they do sound meditation, they can actually calm the noise down in their brain.
Yeah, and I remember when I first started, I actually was, recommended to just turn on a candle and focus on the flame. That was like another thing. Sarah was saying she just learned kirtan meditation. I actually haven't heard of that. I'm not familiar with it. You'll have to share with us. And yeah, she loves listening to yoga music. My first time going to yoga core power was with Sarah. So yeah, she's been in this world for a long time. Oh, thank you. She just shared a playlist. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, again, it's what works for each person,
I remember the very first time that I meditated, I got into this stuff when I was in my mid-20s, right? And I was teaching a class, and somebody shared with us in my classroom, they shared with us that they basically go outside, find a piece of land, just like a square. They sit and they just focus on that square. It can be grass, it can be a garden, it can be whatever. And then you just focus on that piece of square. And you can do it for 5 minutes, just 1 minute, start with 1 minute, see if you can take yourself for another minute, and your mind wanders. And I remember I went home and I did it. I went and sat in the yard, and I sat, and I was like, this is amazing. There was so much life in that little piece of land, like this one little square, that it's like you're so unaware of, and you just so easily step on and move on with life. But then to take it back, slow it down, and actually pay attention to it, and how I don't know how many minutes I did, maybe less than 5 the first time. And that was what brought me into the practice of slowing it down, and then, I don't know, years later, I went to a Vipassana.
So awesome. Yeah, it's so interesting for me. I mean, now I'm taking on the whole hour, hour in the morning, hour at night, but overall I've been meditating ever since, you know, my whole brain tumor journey, really, I always wanted to meditate. Again, so many things came out of that. I always wanted to meditate. I never made time for it. And then because of how healing it is, and it is actually the one time, and so just to get a little bit more on the spiritual side of it, right? So it is the one time that our energetic body and, you know, our spiritual brain body is actually active. So when we're meditating, we're going into this theta wave, which then allows us to literally shift our energy and reprogram our conscious mind and really be in the future. Whereas when we're awake, well, we have our physical brain, which constantly has us thinking about past experiences, what's going to happen in the future. So then therefore there's anxiety and all the, you know, chaos and whatnot. And this is again from another shaman of mine. He's amazing. He's like my spiritual teacher, and he has been, you know, showing me a lot of ways how to meditate and heal my body by doing so. And so that's when I started taking it on. And anytime I meditate, I'm literally envisioning my brain, you know, because of what I went through, my brain completely full and healed. And that's what I do, you know, every single time. And that's what I did. And that's how I started to get into meditation. And now it's like, sometimes it's 5 minutes in the morning before this week. Sometimes it's an hour. It's just, I let it flow without actually stopping myself, you know? So, but yeah, that's just a little bit more on like the educational piece.
And I think that it's, I mean, again, you are a living example of this stuff, you know, at least in this little community that we're building up, right? You used it, you got coached, you learned, and then you let it be rather than control.
Yeah.
Meditation isn't about controlling. Meditation is about state of being and letting that control actually go and see, you know, what will come of it. What if they let it all go? What will come of it?
Yeah, it's literally surrendering and not having any attachment of how it's gonna go. Even though, like I said, I had the most profound experience Tuesday night in my meditation. Like I've never experienced that type of movement within my body ever. But the next day, I still didn't have attachment to see, okay, well, is it going to go like that again? You know, it was just kind of like, it's just going to come when it comes. And if it comes, cool. If it doesn't, that's fine. And not having attachment, I believe, is like the biggest thing. So yeah, totally. Going with the flow of it, surrendering, not controlling. So
and not chasing. And then making sure that you don't chase the high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember in Vipassana, I think it was like day 6, that I was actually able to sit for 4 or 5 hours without moving. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked that that's all it took, right? I was shocked that that's all that it took was 6 days. And then I could actually sit still and then be lost in time, because when I came to it, it was like 4 hours, 4.5 hours later, I remember. And I was shocked by that, right? My legs were completely numb, but I was unaware of them being numb. Like I couldn't stand up because my legs were so numb, right? Wow. But the thing is that experience, it was something that, you know, I mean, I was like, oh my God, what just happened to me? It was such a foreign experience of not knowing exactly what just happened. And it was a content feeling. It was a good feeling. And then the following day, actually, I remember in the evening, they talked about how it's not, the experience shouldn't be something that you chase. Like, just leave it, let it be. You know, this was my experience today. And because tomorrow your experience could be so much better, right? Totally. Deep, you know, who knows? But I mean, it changes the way you go on in life. It changes the way you go on about life. And I mean, and again, you know, and people who have children, I mean, it's like, oh my God, I wish I'd learned this stuff when I was young. And I didn't have to teach myself actively as an adult, right? So,
yeah, I feel like it just allows you to be more present throughout your days, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, and having these, because like what I hear when you say that is not having any expectations, because when you have expectations, then you're limited. in the way it's going to go. Whereas if you don't have, and this is with everything in life, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So it's like, to me, it's like, well, if you have zero expectations of how things are going to go, then there's limitless possibilities.
That's true. Because when you set expectations, at least in my head, this is the way it goes on. When you set expectations, you limit it to what you think, whatever that expectation.
And you set yourself up for disappointment.
True. And setting expectations at times is good. We need to set some expectations, right? We have to have expectations. But the thing is that with some experiences, if you can actually let that go, then you open yourself up to the possibilities that you are, as a human, unaware of, because you just don't know. It's called experience, right? You just don't know. And then let's just say it goes left. You don't even like that. Whatever came of it, you don't like. At least then you know that that's not how I want it to go. So it's learning, really. Whichever way it goes, it's learning. So, meditation is awesome. And there are these wonderful apps. There are all sorts of YouTubes.
So many. That's what I use. I have and then, like, you know, we've talked about meditation before, but like, you know, like Oprah and Deepak, you know, every once, I mean, they have the app, but and then every once in a while they do the 21 days of, you know, free meditation, and they have all kinds of different topics that they do them on. You know, there's so many things out there.
And Sarah just taught us a new one that we
I know. She posted a link to how, you know, learning about it too. So I'm curious.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We check it out afterwards. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the other things I wanted to bring up too is how are you guys doing with the stay-home order? Like, have things started? Because like here, they start opening up some of the neighborhood parks and, you know, like little things here and there. So just curious, how's it going over there?
I think we're still on stay-at-home order. Yeah, I think we are. I mean, I have not watched the news for 3 nights.
You know me, I'm like, good job.
Like, is there anything newsworthy for me to know? And if the answer is like, well, it's more or less the same, then there's nothing newsworthy for me to know. Except I guess last night there was some crazy information that was shared from the White House press news and whatever they do. And, you know, and the thing is that you just hope that people are responsible and you take all of this information with a grain of salt and wait, practicing patience right now. I just know that in my household, Toby's really happy.
Yeah. I know.
You know, that's what matters.
Well, other than the fact my mom left this morning, so that is the one thing. Yeah, she ended up, like, she just landed right before our call actually, but yeah, so I sense some depression in Pashmag, but overall he's a lot happier just because, you know, we're more around and whatnot. But yeah, totally. This is like doggy heaven. I'm sure all the dogs are very happy right now.
I mean,
or animals in general, you know. Like, I feel like anybody that has a pet is probably like stoked, like to have their mommy and daddies at home.
Yeah, he's very, very happy with all the attention that he's getting from us. So.
Yeah.
Fun, you know.
Well, here they apparently, because I was like, was it biking or I don't know, whatever it was, a couple of days ago. Oh, my mom and her cousin ended up going on a walk, and then she texts me and she's like, oh my God, look, there's this park that I love. We go and watch sunsets at it, you know, a couple miles up the street from our house. And she's like, it's open. I'm like, what? You know, and I had heard they're going to start opening them up, not the parking lots. The gates are still closed, so people can walk there, but they're still, I don't know. We heard that they're making people move every 20 minutes or something. I don't know. But yeah, so like at this point, I've like biked up to that area and then beyond. But it's just interesting to see the amount of people that are just excited just to be out, and they are actually staying in their, you know, little groups and quite a bit more than 6 feet apart. So it's nice to see that people are still following that, yet being out and about and getting some of that, because it's grounding to be on grass and be on the earth, you know. It's super healthy, you know, for our bodies to get that prana energy within us that we've kind of been deprived of, you know, with this stay home order. Not to say, you know, I definitely don't, I get it, you know, I get the stay at home order, and I do believe that we need some nature in our lives, you know. I do believe it's necessary for our mental health, you know.
Totally. It's so necessary to be connected to nature, to the outside world. It's unnatural for us to constantly be in buildings around electricity and, you know, internet and, you know, all of these.
All the lighting.
Yeah, all the lighting. Like there are so many lights on in my house, and it's not natural. It's there because we're not in a state of balance right now, right? So bringing that balance back in. We take a lot of walks, and you know, and I'm like doubling up on my allergy medicine. I'm like, I can't sit at home. Like I just can't do it. So we go on long walks, and that really helps. So it's either around the block, or, you know, there are a couple of nice parks around our house that are, there are a lot of natural parks and trails in Virginia. So, you know, we at least 4 or 5 miles a day, because we do it a couple of times a day. So, and then if you go for an hour each time, you're really pulling, and it's good exercise as well. And walking takes the breath into a rhythm, which that's part of the reason, you know, you release a lot of good hormones, neurotransmitters, and you feel good as well. So, you know, it's just that, you know, going on a walk with Toby is fun because he has to smell everything. You know, he's like a nosy neighbor. I'm going to see who peed on your lawn now.
Oh, that's my dog. My dog and your dog would be best friends in that case. Or maybe the opposite. Pee on each other's. Yeah, it's funny. It's like, yeah, not the easiest when I'm walking with him, because I'm constantly like, okay, are you done yet?
I also think that as we move into this new kind of social distancing, that's really important. And as facilities and places start to open up, whether they're indoor or outdoor, we're going to have to like pay closer attention, or they're either going to be guidelines, or we're going to have to pay closer attention to our own space in public, right? Like how much space am I taking, right? How close am I standing to people, and being conscious of it. So yeah. So I don't know what they've done in Virginia. Maybe somebody who lives in Virginia can, you know, if they're up to date. I'm not. I've just kind of been at home.
I know. And for me, it was, I think I saw a post at some point that some of the neighborhood parks were going to open up by, you know, someone else that I am friends with on Facebook. And then, like I said, we just saw it, you know, we're like, oh my gosh, look, there's people in the park, you know, and cops are giving them fines. So, I mean, there's still, you know, police cars, like I said, around. And I think it's just a matter of really, thanks so much, Rachel, for joining. Love you. She said, sorry, I have to run, but great stuff, you guys. Thanks for sharing. So, yeah, I look forward to having her with us next Friday. And, but yeah, I mean, it's just, I feel like you're saying, it's just a matter of, you know, it's not like we're going to go boom back into exactly how it was. It's definitely, I feel like, going to be a step-by-step process to get to that place, because people they're gonna to some extent be freaked out, you know. They still, you know, I mean, 2 months is enough to just create habits, right? So
it is what it is. Something interesting before we wrap it up today, one of my colleagues, she was kind of making fun of like having to wear masks now. And she's like, watch, all of the major brands are going to create masks, and then we're all going to chip in and buy them, you know, as Iranians, you know, we're our Gucci or Louis masks.
That is so funny and true. Yeah, see, and so when I was going through chemo, I had like my cute little mask. I had, it was like all priced, so I ended up digging it out. I had a bunch of masks that I threw out, and I was like, dang it, who would have thought that I was like, and they were cotton masks too, but I didn't think I was gonna ever use it again, you know? I didn't throw them out, I donated them, but like, I kept the one that was really pretty. So I like dug it up, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's so funny because back then people would stare at me, and of course I had a bald head, so people were just like staring at me when I was, walking around or going, on flights, and now it's like the opposite. If you don't wear a mask, you're like getting
You're gonna get the looks. That's right.
As times change.
As times change. It's good to be here. I like doing these live. And I kind of like doing them without any particular intentions and just kind of letting it flow. So this was kind of nice.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
everybody who joined.
Yeah. Oh, Diane, she's so sweet. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it's definitely true. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. This was fun. And yeah, anytime you guys have any questions or need support in any way, feel free to, DM us and comment on here, see what you took away from it. I'm sure Samar, both of us would love to hear how these have been helpful for you and how they've been impacting you and what value you're getting from these. Because, it makes us fulfilled. It makes me very fulfilled when I do hear that too. And I'm sure you're the same.
Me too. That's all that it's about. This isn't about us teaching anything. This is about bringing a community together and supporting one another. So,
and to stay positive, what we can do to stay positive. So, yay.
Wonderful.
Right.
Good to see you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. Bye.